All right, good to go. I think. Are we? Yes, we are. Better late than never, eh? Hello. I'm back in Bangkok, Thailand, as many of you that follow me on Instagram know. And 2 weeks ago, it's just 2 short weeks ago, that I was boasting to you guys from Tokyo, Japan, about how I'd actually got leaner after a month of my travels here. And sadly, I can't say the same for Taiwan. I then went to Taiwan for about 9 or 10, no, not 9 or 10 days, 7 or 8 days after that. And even the last couple of days in Japan, for various reasons, my eating wasn't quite as on point. My steps dropped, especially when I got to Taiwan. I wasn't doing as much walking. My gym usage dropped. Actually, I did find a really amazing, really awesome gym. Probably the best gym I've used in the last 6 weeks or so. Actually, since I've been out of the UK and Taiwan. But that was in Taipei, and I only stayed there 3 or 4 days. There was actually one day in Taiwan because the food was so sparse, like good, healthy vegan food, so hard to find there. And I knew this before going in, by the way, so I just kind of accepted that I'd do a bit of damage limitation. It would be perfect. But when I went there, there were days I went on a hike one day, and all I had was dried mango and some Oreos and a bit of soy milk. Really far from the perfect diet. And nothing radical. You can see I'm still a trim, lean bean, I think, by whatever standard, but by my standard, let's say, I'm still not unhappy with myself. But I've definitely visibly put on 2 to 3 pounds. I feel a little puffier now I've come back. I don't feel as sharp. That's both sort of aesthetically, but also health wise. So it's kind of project like mini fat loss, mini cut here. And I'm just going to trim down. Now I've got back to Thailand, got my routine again here. And actually, I've been doing it the last 4 or 5 days ago, days or so. And I've actually lost a pound. I don't have scales in my apartment here, but I use the scales at the gym. I'm down a pound now. And I do feel like I'm leaning out just a little bit. So, what I wanted to do today is share with you guys from the horse's mouth what I'm doing. My whole slim and sustain philosophy, but actually, like my particular protocol right now to just lean down a little bit at the back end of this year, head into the new year again, feeling just absolutely amazing. And every year that I follow this incredible lifestyle and live with this whole approach, I do notice I build a little bit more muscle, I get a little bit stronger, a little bit fitter, and a little bit leaner as I'm heading into my 30s here. So that's just such a cool feeling. But yeah, it wasn't perfect in Taiwan, but now I'm back into the swing of things, back into my routine. And I just want to share with you guys what's working so nicely for me. But before we get into exactly what I'm doing, I want to tell you very quickly what I'm not doing, because this is really important too. I'm not counting calories. I'm being calorie aware from all my years of understanding calories, but I'm not actually counting my calories. Number two, I'm not doing intermittent fasting or cutting out any meals or skipping breakfast, skipping dinner as compensation for that week or so where I was eating a little bit more food and not doing as much activity in Taiwan, right? None of this like compensation stuff. I talked about this on Instagram the other day, but none of that extreme compensation stuff where, oh, I overeat, so that means now when I go back to my regular diet, I need to have something wild that I only eat like 1,000 calories a day. I don't want to feed that. I've done that stuff in the past, right? I'm beyond that now. I don't want to feed that extreme behavior anymore and establish that kind of really wild sort of punishment and then penalizing sort of, overeating and then compensation. I don't want to feed that behavioral pattern anymore. I've got to be very careful with that. It's something I used to do in the past. I know lots of you will resonate, right? So this, what I'm getting back to, is a very moderate approach. It's going to be really effective for me. It's already feeling effective. And I don't have that much, we're talking about like 2 pounds left here. So this is going to be like 1 to 2 weeks for me and I'll be back at that sort of prime physique that I was so pleased with before I headed out to China, Japan, Korea, etc., and just feel really chiseled down again, really just before Taiwan again. So that's going to be 1 to 2 weeks for me max, probably not even that. But yeah, none of this punishment stuff, none of this extreme nonsense, even though I've only got a small amount to lose. No detoxes, no juice cleanses. This is a lot of people's response to maybe having a vacation, gaining a couple of pounds, nothing like that. Right. This is the whole slim and sustain thing again. Moderate behavior that actually feels sustainable to me. So I don't constantly teach myself that the only response to eating off plan and making a couple of mistakes is to do some wild, cutting, crazy behavior as a response. Like, that's just not something you want to teach your mindset, right? You've got to be very careful with that kind of thing. So that's what I'm not doing. I'm not doing loads. I'm not going and doing 10 spinning classes at the gym this week just to burn more calories, because that's not going to be sustainable to me. Again, slim and sustain. I only want to take on tactics And of course, maintenance is different to fat loss, admittedly, but generally speaking, I only want to take on tactics and start using tactics that I can actually stick with for the rest of my life. Why would I try and lose weight with something that I don't ever want to do again? Then it's just going to be a means to an end. Then it's not going to be a sustainable thing. Make sense? So, chill out, right? I'm passionate tonight. I'm fired up. I'm losing my voice, as you guys can tell. A little bit of a cold and a couple of coaching calls today. So stick with me on this. So the current protocol that I'm loving right now, and still got a couple of weeks to go, as I say, but feeling a little bit sharper, a little bit leaner in the 4 or 5 days since I've been home. Number one is I'm down now to about 10 to 12K steps per day. Today, I've actually only done 8, but I've got to head out after this and grab some food. So 10 to 12K steps per day. Now that's down from, like, especially in Japan, like 20. I showed you some of the 30,000 step days I was doing in Japan because I was exploring, I was a tourist. And you just do a bit more walking when you're a tourist, as many of you guys will know, especially in these more pedestrianized cities. I'm now back down to what for me is a very sustainable 10 to 12,000 steps. Now, for some people, that's nothing. That's a pittance. They're like, oh, right, and I can smash that. Ryan, a couple of weeks ago, 10 to 12,000 steps was nothing. That was just a daily stroll, right? But actually, for a lot of people, that's quite an intimidating amount, 10 to 12,000. I'm not saying this is what you should do. This is just what I'm doing. 10 to 12 for me, living in Bangkok, still using the public transport here, but doing a little bit of walking from the gym to this, to that, to there, whatever. 10 to 12,000 for me is very doable. There are days where, like today, it might be easy for me to do less. And I'm going to naturally do it tonight, but for example, I think it was 3 days ago where I was on about 9,000 and then I just had to go for an intentional walk. Not that 9 to 10,000 is like something you necessarily need to be super strict with. It's close enough. I could have let myself have the free pass, but I'm just feeling really motivated right now to just kind of lean down, as I say again. And I just wanted to stick to my word on that particular day and get over to about sort of 10 or 12,000. Now, 10 or 12,000 steps, it depends on the speed at which you walk and the gradient and your current body weight, etc., etc. But for many of us, that's going to be like, to put this in a calorie sense, not that walking is only about calories, there's many other health benefits, but, you know, again, fat loss focused video here. That's about 350, 400, up to about maybe 500 calories burnt from doing 10 to 12,000 steps. So that's like a really big chunk that's going to make it easier for a lot of you guys to get in a calorie deficit just by doing a little bit of walking. There's also a great boost to metabolic rate as well. So again, in the pseudo-scientific way of putting it, but speeding up the metabolism as well has immense weight loss benefits. So for me, 10 to 12,000 is something that is very sustainable. It's very achievable for me and my lifestyle right now because I'm not driving, but at the same time, it's still enough. So it's very achievable, yes, but it's less than what I was doing before, but it's still enough to actually contribute a lot to burning some calories and giving me a little bit of edge with fat loss. Does that make sense? And the other great thing about walking, and I've shared this with you guys before, so I won't go on too much about this, is that it doesn't seem to spike metabolic rate per calorie burn like other more intense forms of exercise do. In other words, studies seem to suggest that if you burn 400 to 500 calories worth of calories doing running, you would likely have a much greater appetite spike than the appetite spike that you get in the 24-hour window after doing a little bit of, or burning the same amount of calories with walking. Does that make sense? I made that bit of word salad I went on, but does that make sense? So yeah, walking is really good for burning some calories without sending your appetite through the roof, which I know is something from feedback a lot of you guys will struggle with. So that's the first thing. That's a big priority for me, is 10 to 12K steps per day as part of my new little fat loss routine here. Number two, now I'm back in Thailand. I've been so grateful for lots of delicious sweet fruit. Fruit in Japan, Korea, China, and Taiwan. I didn't have enough in Taiwan. That's another reason why I kind of just jumped up the scales a little bit, got a little puffier. It's because I wasn't having as much fruit in Taiwan, but it is generally better than Japan and Korea, where fruit is incredibly, incredibly expensive. And frankly, because so much of it is imported, it's just not that good by the time that it gets imported. And the storage process for importing fruit, just taking away some of the amazing, delicious taste. Now I'm back in Thailand. Fruit is not only cheap, it's also absolutely delicious, at least the native fruit here anyway. So the papaya, the mango, dragon fruit, etc., melon, I've been loving it. And again, fruit big bang for buck, a lot of volume for very few calories. So it's helping me with the sweet cravings, but it's also helping me feel really full without actually consuming that many calories, which is such a cheat code, as you can imagine, for weight loss. And like as a result, I virtually have no cravings right now. And in this hot weather, the fruit as well is also very hydrating. It also feels very refreshing versus like eating fruit in the winter in the UK, which doesn't quite feel. That's why I crave loads of like vegetables in the winter in the UK, because weather does dictate taste preferences. That's not particularly profound comment. We know this, right? But yeah, lots of delicious sweet fruit. That's really big part of my strategy right now. And today is actually the first day where I haven't eaten fruit yet today, and it's 7 p.m. So I'm sure I'll take care of that. And I've been actually having it as a bit of a dessert mostly, and also an afternoon snack. So I've usually been having fruit twice per day since I've been back. Today is just that the only day that I happen to be filming this live stream that's an exception to the rule on this. But I've been having fruit at about 3 or 4 when I'm out and about from some of the grocery places near and some of the food stalls nearby where I do some work and go to the gym and that sort of thing in those areas. It's really convenient to just grab there some papaya, some fresh watermelon, etc., etc. But then I'll also bring some home, and then I finish my coaching calls for the day or live streams. I go and make my dinner, as I will tonight, tofu stir fry, and then I'll have my fruit after that as a little dessert. And it just like again, it feels like such a treat to my diet. And of course, back in the day, it was all about Ben and Jerry's. It wasn't really dessert if it didn't have loads of refined sugar and fat, sticky toffee pudding, etc., etc. But now my taste buds have changed. Now I've matured, I think, as a person from my whippersnapper years. I can really just appreciate a good bit of natural food, good bit of fruit. Give me a good bit of fruit. I can appreciate the sweetness. My palate is not corrupted. My dopamine receptors are not totally corrupted. This is not the scientific term. Again, I'm speaking very pseudo here, but just to sort of hyperbole to convey the message to you guys. But just actually being able to taste the good sweetness, and I am in Thailand, so it's better anyway, but the good sweetness, the natural sweetness of fruit, because my threshold for sweetness is so much lower than when I was eating all that really, really highly sweetened junk food, which food manufacturers, they very well know what they're doing by getting you hooked on that, to the extent now that we're worried because little kids growing up in the Western world, they can't appreciate fruit as much anymore because fruit isn't that sweet to them. That's so wrong. That's so backwards. So you have to decondition that junk food stuff, or recondition maybe, because the default should be to eat fruit, right, and not the junk food. That's unnatural. So rather than decondition, maybe it's just recondition and relearn. Oh no, this is what real whole food should taste like, and that's a perfect amount of sweetness. And if I don't have junk food, this feels like deliciously sweet to me. But when my palate is corrupted by all the junk food, well, then I eat a bit of fruit and I can't really appreciate it. So yeah, the fruit's been amazing. Also linked to that, similarly, my $5 acai bowls. I'm in love with these. These have been so fun. I forgot how much I enjoyed these as I was traveling. But here, acai bowls, they're everywhere. There's a little chain called Acai Story. I also love Thank You Cup as well in Siam Paragon for anyone that's out here or visiting Siam Paragon Mall. And they do Thank You Cup is amazing. They also have lots of naughty stuff. You can add chocolate chips and all sorts to your Thank You Cup. But if you keep that clean, you can do these amazing acai bowls that are like maybe 250, 300 calories. And they're so nutrient rich as well. Forget the weight loss for a second. Those are really good calorie numbers for what feels like a dessert and a treat again. But forget weight loss for a second. The nutrients that you can get in, because you can have some of those healthy fats and you get the acai, so you've got the antioxidants from the acai, the good nutrients in the fruit there. Top it, yeah, again, a little bit more fruit, those nuts and seeds, as I say, some of the omegas. Yeah, just a really nutritious little treat for me. And these don't feel like a meal to me, but I'll often have them between meals, or I have them in conjunction with something else. So I grab an acai bowl, and then maybe I'm heading to go and get some soy milk as well for a little bit of the protein. And that's more like one of my 4 meals a day. I'm doing like a 4 meal a day thing right now, which is not actually my Slim and Today philosophy. As a lot of you guys will know, I actually have my clients do 3 meals and 1 snack per day. But in light of all the exercise I'm doing, I'm like, I do like more like 4 meals per day and maybe like 1 to 2 snacks. And that's working really, really well for me. I'm near a weight maintenance as well, right? I'm in this fat loss phase right now, but because I'm near in weight maintenance, I need a few more calories, doing a lot of activity. I need a decent amount more calories than my average client, admittedly. So 4 meals a day, 1 to 2 snacks is working so nicely for me. My acai bowls might be a snack on one day if they're a lower calorie bowl, or I might bulk them up, have a bit of soy milk on the side and kind of count that as a meal. Bit of an unconventional meal, but I just love it. And these are the little things that make dieting, quote unquote, feel fun to me, because I can eat an acai bowl with some nut butter on there, some nuts and seeds, and some delicious fruit on top of like that refreshing, tasty, naturally tasty acai. Sign me up all day long, right? And of course, like, you got to be careful with this, but at the same time, this is an advantage, actually. What I was going to say is you've got to be careful because of all the toppings that you can put on acai bowls. So, acai story and thank you cup, you can add waffles. You can add, actually, the waffles are really clean and low calorie, I checked. But you can add chocolate chips, you can add granola, right? So you can rack up the calories here. You can add Biscoff spread, right? So it's not just that any acai bowl is going to be really good for fat loss. That's quite clearly, hopefully clearly anyway, that's not what I'm saying. But what I like with acai bowls is you have the scope, you have the control to make it more or less calorific based on your goals. If you're trying to bulk up right now, build some muscle, you're actually trying to do the opposite of what I'm talking about here and put on some weight. Number one, I'm not sure where you'd be on this video, but what you would do in that regard is in the periods where I'm not trying to lose weight, I'll ask, yeah, let's put on the sides, like let's add some crushed walnuts here. Let's add a little bit more nut butter. But maybe a little bit of granola. That's perfectly fine. But in the periods where you're trying to lean down, you do a bit more fresh fruit, maybe less of the nuts and seeds and whatnot. Just have the acai bowl straight, and you just know that's going to bring the calories down. And it's going to be more sort of fat loss friendly, let's say. So what I love with these acai bowls is the scope to adjust them on a given day. If I haven't had like that many sources of healthy fat, I can obviously double down with the acai bowl and get some more fat in there. Obviously, you don't want to get it too calorific from the fat loss perspective. But if I know, hey, I ran out of chia seeds, I didn't have those on my morning oatmeal, I can go and compensate with the acai bowl. So these have just been amazing to me. And again, like with the fruit, another cheat. Feels like I'm cheating my diet. It feels like I shouldn't be losing fat right now. It feels like I don't deserve to lose fat right now because I get to eat all of this delicious food, but it's delicious, healthy food. And that's the distinction. When you have some awareness of calorie density, when you have some awareness of what's a healthy meal, which most people don't, this already makes you very advanced and in like top 2% of the population, when you can look at food and start going, oh, that's quite high in saturated fat. That's probably not that good for me. Oh, that's very processed food. That's not very good for me. Like, we're forgetting the average person can't do that all that well. I know it sounds like common sense stuff to us, but we're in our echo chamber of YouTube and Instagram social media content here, where we're clearly curious and passionate about learning about nutrition. So yeah, I love these. It just feels like, as I say, I'm cheating weight loss right now. Next step in my current protocol here is I'm having tofu, beans, lentils, or tempeh at least twice daily. I've got to admit to you guys, I miss the seitan. It's really hard to find seitan out here, or it's very expensive when you do find it. There's not loads of seitan in the UK, but it is more available. I love my seitan, as I think a lot of you guys know. It's such a lean source of the old protein, and I just find it delicious and very versatile too. So for me, we're looking at tofu, beans, lentils, or tempeh twice daily. And this is a really good rule of thumb. That means that I hit my protein, and I get all of the, because those things contain more than just protein, but I'm emphasizing protein here. Protein. Like, I forgot even how to say protein because I say protein so much. I forget there's probably new people watching this that don't get that joke. But anyway, protein, gym bro protein, so that's that. Anyone that follows me on Instagram know that I've just replaced protein with protein, but I forget about it here. But yeah, having those twice daily, like I said, with the beans especially, all the fiber it comes, so it's not just a source of protein for me, all the fiber it comes with, the phytates, etc., all the good nutrients there. And I just love these. And beans and tofu helps me feel so full. Like, I love carbs, and if you give me a bowl of rice, I could eat like 1,000 calories of rice in like 5 minutes, something ridiculous. With a bit of soy sauce, that's all I'd need, and I could go and go and go and go. And this is not a carb phobia video. You guys know that's not my style. I love carbohydrates. There's a lot of misconceptions about them. But I find, those starchy staples like rice and potatoes, I find if I do a little bit less of them, still a good amount, add some beans, add some tofu, add some lentils, it's not just the protein that I take care of. It's also just a little bit more satiation. I just feel a little bit more full, a little bit more satisfied. Feels like, I was going to say that it feels like a more rounded meal, and that's because it is from a nutrient perspective. So having those twice daily. Carb sources, I just mentioned, aside from the fruits, primary carbohydrate sources, sweet potato, because that is unreal. I'm going to miss the sweet potato in Asia so much. I've been eating that everywhere. That's probably the one thing I told you guys earlier. I was having loads of fruit in Thailand, but then I went to China, Japan, Korea. I wasn't having as much fruit. I'm trying to think, the acai bowls I had here, but couldn't find them elsewhere. The one constant, Actually, tofu you can get in all of the countries. But I was going to say the one constant in my diet has really been sweet potato, because you get that everywhere in Asia, so cheap, usually really delicious. And they got purple sweet potato here as well, right? And even taro. I'm kind of counting this in the potato family. It's technically not, but it's another tuber. Taro is really popular in Thailand as well. If you haven't tried taro, recommend. Really delicious, a little bit of sweetness to it. Very versatile, again, like potato. Very low calorie density. Really filling. And so, yeah, sweet potato in particular has been one of my primary carbohydrate sources here. And I'll have that with meals, but I also will have that as a snack, guys, because you get little sweet potato stalls, or you just get them in the grocery stores here. They're in a heater, ready to go. You just take them. They're super cheap. They're like $1 for like a medium sweet potato, and you just munch on that like an organic one. And for only $1, it's just it's amazing. And not only are they delicious, but the prices for things out here, the cost of living, as many of you guys will have heard, the rumors are true. The cost of living is absolutely mesmeric. So sweet potato. Number two might surprise you, and I mentioned this in a vlog a while ago, but white rice, because brown rice isn't as common out here. But that's not my only reason. Just white rice. I'm in a phase where I just really like white rice. And I am a big promoter of brown rice because of the fiber content. I have lots of my clients eat brown rice, but there's a lot of my clients that eat white rice. They prefer white rice. So I said, white rice is fine. You've got enough fiber elsewhere in your plan. And surprisingly to people, calories per gram and calories per volume wise, white rice actually has fewer calories than brown rice, which always blows people's minds. It actually has a slightly lower caloric density. But I've always argued brown rice is advantageous, is superior because of its higher fiber content. But brown rice being, and this is what I said in my video, my Thailand food vlog 2 months ago, a brown rice having a little bit more fiber and therefore being superior does not in any way make white rice unhealthy. It's not merely that sort of binary. Like, all of this stuff can coexist, and white rice, I think, is still a very weight loss friendly food. And if you've got lots of other fiber in your diet, you don't need to worry that you're having white rice instead of brown rice. So I've been having white rice, really common out here, really delicious, faster digesting. So sometimes white rice before my workouts. That's what I did today. Can feel really amazing because that's started to digest and metabolize in about maybe 1 hour, 1.5 hours, 1 hour 45, maybe let's say 1 to 2 hours, instead of me naming all the different minutes intervals between 1 and 2 hours. I'd say 1 to 2 hours to keep it easy, and then it's in my system. Whereas brown rice is a little bit slower digesting. And again, a faster and slower digesting food, that doesn't mean one's good or one's bad. Just different effects and different properties. If I'm going to work out, I would prefer something faster digesting before that, so I can use that glycogen very quickly for fueling the workout and having a really good performance in the gym. So that worked out nicely for me today, and that's what I've been doing. So white rice, sweet potato, fruit, my primary carbohydrate sources right now. Not much bread indeed, though I had loads of bread in Taiwan one day because I had really limited options and it made me feel rubbish. And again, you guys know I'm not a sort of a bread hater, but it was this kind of very processedy white bready bun stuff, which it is delicious, but I had loads of it in one day and it made me really full, but it didn't satisfy me. So then 2 hours later again, I'm eating a meal. And I think that's the summary of Taiwan, is because I didn't have that many options, which, as I say, I knew about. It's not a lack of preparedness thing. I knew, hey, this isn't going to be ideal for me. We're going to we left Taipei a lot. We're going to Taipei was awesome, quite easy to eat there. But when you go out into the sticks, it's a little bit harder, right? There's a massive language barrier. Awesome trip, by the way, incidentally. Don't go to Taiwan in typhoon season. Lesson learned. We already knew that it was typhoon season. It was a good time for us to go, but for various reasons. But that's by the by. But hard to make really good choices out there. And so there was a day where I just ate loads of bread, and then I had like a meal like 2 hours later. And you just think about the calories adding up there, and with the lower step count, I'm not going to the gym as much. It's easy to see why, I gained a couple of pounds, got a little bit puffier. So yeah, not having much bread out here. It's not really here, not good quality, like whole wheat or rye bread. It's not here. It's not grown here. That's a very European thing. So that's something I'll look forward to actually when I go home near Christmas time, to have some good healthy bread again. But right now it's white rice and sweet potato and fruit for my primary carbohydrate sources. Westy, ultra processed people by Dr. Chris Van Tulloken, covers the corruption of the taste buds. Interesting read. Never heard. Thank you. I'll check it out. Since moving away from ultra processed foods, my taste buds now adore beautiful fruits. Yeah, exactly what I was talking about. They're like, I guess, beautiful golden nuggets of edible sweetness. What? You should be an author. This is fantastic. The book Ultra Processed People covers this. Yeah. No, absolutely. Corruption of the taste buds. It's just let your palate have a break from that stuff. You gut bacteria as well. Gut bacteria is really underestimated in how it plays a role in cravings, but it does. It sends a lot of signals to the brain. And so that was, if you're having, it's quite simple. If you're having, maybe I'm making it overly simplistic here because there are caveats to this, but if you're having junk food all the time, body and mind wants junk food. Get it out your diet. You don't have to abstain 100%, but maybe you do for the first month or so. Get it out your diet. You will learn to enjoy the taste of natural foods again, to the extent that you go back and have junk food and it's actually too rich for you. It's too sweet. It's too junky. So you won't be perfect. You'll still have cravings and you still might enjoy McDonald's when you have it again for the first time in a couple of months, but you'll be really positively surprised by just how much your taste buds can shift when you just get that crap out your diet. Excuse my language for a while. Rachel, oh, hey, Rachel, former client of mine, crushed it. Thanks, Rachel. I totally resonate with punishing myself after having a cheat day. You've taught me so many valuable lessons. Thank you, Rachel. You're an amazing client. It's very easy to work with. So well done for taking all this stuff on board. Okay, so I just took you through my carb sources. The next step in my current protocol, I want to tell you about the condiments I'm using right now. It's so simple. This is all I'm using. I'm just fact checking myself. Is this everything I'm using condiment wise? I mean, there's this and there's 2 herbs / spices in my cupboard right now. The herbs and spices are mixed Italian herbs thing and smoked paprika. And aside from that, I've just got these 2 condiments. This is all I'm cooking with at the moment, and it's fine. I love it. And some people, they'll hear this and go, that's too simplistic. But for me and this current protocol, this works really nicely. I'm not having salads eating in, so I don't need loads of different vinaigrettes and tahini to throw in the salad. I'm having that stuff elsewhere. I'm going to tell you about that in a second. Right now, I'm having a low sodium soy sauce. That's condiment number 1, and a very natural, no added sugar, sweet chili sauce that I found, and I love it. And that's all I need with those 2 herbs and spices. That stuff, in various ways, some days less than others, goes on my tofu stir fry every evening, and I love it. That goes on my tofu. Absolutely love it. It's very, very simple. So again, key theme here. I always talk to my clients on Slim and Sustain about the 3 S's: simplicity, structure, sustainability. These are the things that seem to break people through and give them lifelong results. These are the 3 principles that I've tried to bake into every little facet, every little component of my coaching of the Slim and Sustain program. But particularly what I'm referencing here is simplicity. I don't have, and I'm traveling as well, so it's different. Maybe back in Bath at home, this is different. Well, it is different. My seasoning drawer will look different. But even then, I hardly use that many of them. You only use a small amount of the things you've actually got in your cupboard anyway. But, my seasoning drawer here is just that stuff. Oh, there's a bunch of oil left from the previous tenant, but I haven't been touching that, obviously, not even tempted. So yeah, really, really simple. I don't need loads of different ingredients, loads of different condiments. Those things just allow me to make my food taste good, or at least good enough. It's not haute cuisine, it's not Michelin eating, but it's good enough for me. And that promotes sustainability. So all the S's linked together. The simplicity helps promote sustainability. So that's the condiments I'm using right now. It's working really nicely, leaning down. And I do want to emphasize the low sodium soy sauce because I like quite a good amount of soy sauce. I'm not that sparse with it. I'm pretty liberal with it. So if I had the high sodium one, that would just take my salt through the roof. I just feel really, nothing wrong with a little bit of salt, but I just feel really puffy again. I was eating so much sodium whilst I was in Taiwan. I just felt so puffy. And it's really nice to bring that down again, just lean down a little bit, as I say. Next one. When I go out to eat, I go to one of my acai bowl places. So I'm eating out about once a day here. Right? Full transparency. It's like, what? How can you be losing fat, Ryan? You're eating out once a day. That's not a fat loss program. Right? There's some caveats coming. I'm not eating burgers. All right. When I eat out once a day, I either go to like one of my acai bowl places, like I talked about 20 minutes ago, or I get the tofu salad. I'm pretty much doing this every day from May Veggie Kitchen near me in the Sukhumvit area. May Veggie Kitchen, shout out, or May Veggie Kitchen. They've got a few, I think, in Bangkok. Express is the one I go to. Lovely staff. They do me a lovely tofu salad there, and they'll even adjust it a little bit for me. Sometimes I want some extra tofu in there or something leaving. But it's such a delicious salad. That's how I'm getting lots of nutrients in as well. So I don't have to do all the salad myself. And it's so cheap. My meal is about, about $6, about £4. £4 for my tofu salad there, and I absolutely love it. And I grabbed that after the gym today, and that was great. And What was I going to say in particular? Was it about soy sauce? No, sorry, no, that was the last point. So yeah, I'm still eating out once a day, but it's really clean stuff. And that way, this feels so fun and practical. Like I don't just have to hurt when I'm traveling. I'm out here. I don't know if I'm going to be coming back to Bangkok. I want to be out and about, right? I want to be experiencing things. I don't want to be cooped up cooking in my apartment all day. And look, that's a very sort of privileged thing to say. When I go back to the UK, I will be cooking all the time and I won't be eating out. One, because it's expensive, two, because it's trash and the customer service is appalling, generally speaking. Depends where you go, obviously. And so here it's so refreshing. It's more affordable. Staff are amazing. Food is, generally speaking, of a much higher standard here, much more delicious. So it's win-win. I can go out to eat. It's still good for my budget, and I can eat very cleanly. Yeah, I couldn't eat as I had to eat out all the time in Japan, Korea, etc. But I couldn't find as clean foods. Bangkok is very, very good for healthy, clean vegan food, and the staff are really accommodating. So if you say, look, can you go steady with the oil on this? They will. If you say, hey, look, you make this delicious dressing, but could you do me a favor? Could you just put soy sauce on it next time instead of your amazing dressing? Because I'm watching the weight a little bit. They'll, there's still a language barrier with some places, but I found it to be very, very accommodating compared to China, where you've got this immense language barrier and this kind of, what? You want what adjusting? Why would you want that look is what you're often met with in somewhere like China. But Thailand, Bangkok especially, has been really, really fantastic. It would be different if you go out in the sticks, but Bangkok is amazing for making those kind of adjustments to your meals when you're eating out. So eating out is part of my plan here. It's fine. It's actually helping me. It's actually saving me time. It's really convenient. And it's actually allowing me to do more variety of nutritious food than I would. Like if you saw these, I post them on Instagram all the time, but if you saw these salads from May Veggie Kitchen, like that's more than I would ever do at home. More different veggies in greater quantities than I would ever do at home, because it would be impractical. I'd be buying loads of different veggies. I'd be worried about food waste as well, not getting through everything to the same degree, spending all the money. And so I just get this lovely salad every day for like £4. It's absolutely amazing. All these different veggies. There's cabbage on there. There's beets on there. There's little gem, romaine, whatever. I can't think. It's not. It's another lettuce on there. Shredded carrot, corn. They put sesame and chia seeds. Like it's amazing. Like all these different. I'm not even mentioning half of it. All these different veggies with tofu and a delicious low-fat sauce. And yeah, fantastic. Highly, highly recommend if you're actually in the Sukhumvit area of Bangkok. May Veggie Kitchen. Check it out. But yeah, I'm still eating out, and that again is another reason why my diet, even though I'm like looking at myself in the mirror, I can feel myself leaning down a little bit over the last 5 days. It just feels too good to be true, because I get to eat out and I get to eat all these delicious things. But there's rules. Okay, I'm not going out for burgers and fries and ice cream, etc., pizza, so on and so forth. I'm going out for acai bowl and tofu salad, right? It's not quite the same thing, but it allows my diet to just feel a little bit more fun. Does that make sense? And again, that feeds back into the sustainability. Like if your diet's really boring, if you don't enjoy it, if you feel you have to stay home all the time to cook and prepare everything, and you can't ever go out to eat, and it feels really restricted, you can't have fun anytime. Is that sustainable? No, of course not. So that again, that's my whole slim and sustain shtick. You can't take the proverbial, but your diet needs to be fun enough so that you can actually imagine, yeah, I could do this for the rest of my life. I can eat like this, not just this week whilst I'm losing weight, but also in maintenance. I'll be really happy to eat like this. I love this. It doesn't feel too limiting. I've got rules, I've got boundaries, but it doesn't feel ridiculously limiting. I wish I could tell myself of 10 years ago when I first got into health and weight loss in the gym and stuff. I wish I could go back and tell young Ryan Adams all this stuff, but it doesn't have to be so Puritan. I was far from Puritan back then anyway, but my idea was that dieting needs to be brutal and really Puritan, if that makes sense. How did that work out for me? Not good. Next step, 3 to 4 gym sessions per week, and they're all strength-based at the moment. I actually did about half an hour on the recumbent bike the other day, so I'm about to eat my words on this, but I'm not doing that much cardio at the moment. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I won't go into them all, but I'm just really enjoying the strength stuff. And I was about to go into them all. Let's keep it concise. I'm already going on way too long. I've got my next client call shortly. But 3 to 4 gym sessions a week, and they're very, very strength focused. At some point, I'll do a little bit more cardio, and I might even look into playing some tennis out here, because I've had my racket with me for 3 months, and I still haven't played tennis in all my 3 months that I've been traveling. But I've actually had my tennis racket the whole time. So I'd love to find somewhere to play tennis out here. And that will, I want to play tennis because I miss playing tennis, but also help with the cardio and doing something of a slightly greater intensity. But right now, I'm not actually doing any cardio, quote unquote, beyond walking, beyond getting my heart rate up a little bit in the strength training sessions. But I'm doing those 3 to 4 gym sessions per week. They're very, very strength based. Trained my legs today, got some squats on the Smith machine. Felt really, really good. It's a good session. Legs is not always a fun session to do for any strength trainers out there. I'm sure you'll agree. Today, I actually quite enjoyed it. Don't know why. What's wrong with me? I don't know. Well, I do, but that's a scary answer in a whole different video, right? But 3 or 4 gym sessions per week, all strength based. Like I say, 10 to 12K steps per day, as I mentioned in step number 1. That's my exercise routine. Is that demanding? It's all relative, isn't it? To some people, they'll think, that's pretty good for a fat loss routine. There's some people that be like, that sounds like a lot. It's all relative. But for me, this is the important thing. For me, it's very sustainable. So if you're reading this thinking, I need to do what Ryan needs to do, that's the only way I'm going to lose fat. I've never said that. That's your poor, I'm just being blunt, that's your really poor interpretation. That's not what I'm saying at all. The lesson that you can infer, I'd like you to take from this, or the implied lesson is, you need to do what is sustainable to you. So it doesn't matter if my routine sounds ridiculous to you. To me, 10 to 12K steps per day, living in Bangkok without a car, very, very achievable. 3 to 4 are the most gym sessions per week that are all strength-based, don't involve cardio. Yes, please. Thank you very much. That sounds really easy. Maybe a little bit of tennis as a cherry on the cake. Yes, please. That sounds really fun to me. That sounds okay. I like that. It's not too much, not too demanding. You still have lots of recovery between the sessions. Doesn't mean that I'm spending all my life doing exercise. The steps are virtually effortless because I need to go and do stuff and see stuff and hang out every day, go to various places to get food, to go to the gym, etc., etc. So each time, walk to my veggie kitchen, right? That's about 4,000 steps. Bang, done, easy, right? And that adds up throughout the day. So for me, it's very, very sustainable, slim and sustainable. What will be sustainable to you? I've got my whole philosophy. I put my whole clients through my whole slow go methodology. A lot of this is slow go training, right? Those 10 to 12K steps a day. This is my whole slow go theme. This is what is ideal for beginners. But everything still needs to be personally adjusted ideally. So yeah, I've got my time tested principles. I've got the stuff I stand by, the stuff I've been teaching on this channel for years, the protocols that I put my clients through. But there's also some individual tweaking to do. And I'm just walking you through my particular individual tweaking. Not all of my clients have acai bowls. Hardly any of them do, right? Not all of my clients go to the gym 3 times per week. In fact, on Slim and Sustain, there's no gym membership requirement. They do 2 home workouts per week with some strength movements, but there's no gym membership needed, right? So am I a hypocrite? No. I'm doing what is sustainable to me, slim and sustain. There's some personal tweaking that is required to find what is a great momentum, cadence, and a plan for you that feels sustainable. So generally, there are rules and principles to weight loss and fat loss that work, but you will need to make some customizations so it feels fun and agreeable and it's got longevity for you. And that's one big lesson I would suggest you guys take away from this. Finally, loads of water. Loads of water. It's getting hot here right now. It's hard for me to say workout days or even more. But yeah, I'm putting away 3.5, 4 liters. I'm just slamming water, and it's effortless as well. I don't need to remind myself because it's so hot that you're just like water, water. So that's pretty easy for me. And I'm having a little bit of sunlight. And why would getting a little bit of sunlight be part of my fat loss strategy? Well, I'll tell you why. Not directly, because that burns loads of calories or anything magical like that. That increases growth hormone production or whatever. And, external temperatures might incidentally do things like that, but that's not my argument. The reason why this is important to me is it makes a world of difference. I know a lot of you agree watching this. It makes a world of difference to my mood when I've got a little bit of sun exposure every day, just a little bit. You don't need much, you don't want to burn, but it makes a world of difference to my mood. I feel happy when the weather is good, and that all feeds in to me just feeling good about my diet and sharp and healthy and positive every day. So I'm not turning to food out of boredom or because I feel sad or because the weather's depressing. I just feel awesome. And the sun and the weather is a little part of that. But so things like water and sleep and rest, recovery, hydration, eating well in the first place. And that's it. And I'm really happy. This is my current routine. I'm loving it. Like I say, I've only been here, 5 or 6 days now. So I'm only 5 days or so on this particular protocol. But I've lost a pound already. I'm down a pound already. Looking at myself in the mirror sounds very vain, doesn't it? And I'm dropping nicely. And, I don't count my calories, as I told you guys. I'm just very calorie aware. My clients don't count their calories because I just tell them what to eat, what and how much to eat. And the calorie deficit, the sensible calorie deficit is already programmed for them to hit their sweet spot of satisfaction, but also enough calories so that they're still, or enough of a calorie deficit rather than to where they're still losing some weight but still feel satisfied. That's the key, to find that perfect intersection, right? That sweet spot. But with me, I'm not actually tracking my calories. I've been doing this for so long, very, very calorie aware. But most importantly, I'll go by the scale and how I look in the mirror, and that will feed back to me if I'm eating too many or too little calories. So if over the next couple of days I notice that I'm leaning down, but I'm leaning down way too quickly, it's happening too aggressively, I'll be like, okay, Ryan, that's a warning sign. You're probably not eating enough. Let's increase the calories slightly. Adversely, all right, I've had a good start in these first 5 days here, but if I look in the mirror next couple of days, get on the scale, a couple of weeks' time at the gym, and it isn't what I deem as adequate, then I'll go, all right, the calories need to drop. Let's get rid of this, this, and this. Let's tweak this, this, and this. Let's do X, Y, Z. And again, that's a whole different video. So I'm not counting calories, but I'm being calorie conscious, and I will adjust my calories without tracking them because I'm experienced with this. And this is where I take my clients to eventually on Slim and Sustain. Not initially, they need me to tell them what to do with calories, but with a bit of calorie education over time and over the months and years following being on the program, this is the amazing place you can get to where you just know what to do without even having to track things because you've been doing it for so long and you're then so experienced and you're really good at eyeballing stuff. So that's the routine. That's how I'd adjust if it was or wasn't working. And I'm loving it right now. So hopefully a couple of lessons for you here. If you do want my help, if you want to join Slim and Sustain and have me personally watch and support you very closely through this process, make the nutrition and exercise tweaks that you need to make this feel sustainable to you, that you need when you maybe you lose weight for the first 6 weeks of the program, then you hit a plateau. We need those tweaks. I'm going to work with you very, very closely. It's one-on-one. I don't outsource anything to assistant coaches or anything like that. Full disclosure, you work directly with me. I'm a control freak, right? So I'm on you, and I'm not giving you away to anyone else. I want to watch you, and I want to work with you. And every week we're seeing what happens on the scales, and that informs us, of how effective our strategy is. So if you want that level of mentorship and guidance and support from me to make sure that you lose weight, you can go and do this yourself, right? And if the budget isn't there, fair enough. Of course, no judgment from me. You've got plenty of free advice from me and other folks on YouTube, on social media. But the benefit of Slim and Sustain is that it's guaranteed. It's guaranteed. You can't fail as long as you're honest with me. The accountability and how, without, oh God, I'm going to sound so, I was about to say without sounding arrogant, I'll sound so conceited and arrogant here, but I've done this over 500 times now. I've got immense confidence in my system. So if you're the wrong fit for Slim and Sustain won't work for you. But if you're the right fit for Slim and Sustain, and I tell you, yeah, let's do this, you can join the program after you've applied and we've had a chat. If you are the right fit for Slim and Sustain, it will work for you. So as long as you show up, as long as you be honest with me, it will work for you. Even if we have hiccups and mistakes along the way, which is almost guaranteed because nobody's perfect through the program. I'm certainly not perfect. As you guys have seen, I wasn't perfect in Taiwan, right? So proof is in the pud. Practice what you preach. Insert cliche of choice. So anyway, I've got on tangent, but if you want that close level of support, click the link down below, fill out the form there. You can learn more about Slim and Sustain. And that's the guarantee. It's we're going to get you there. Go and do this yourself. Maybe you will lose weight. Maybe you will lose weight for the first couple of weeks. That's where it gets tricky for people. They don't know how to make changes. They don't feel accountable. They feel very isolated in their journey. So if you just want to make sure that this actually happens for you, and you also build Slim and Sustain, right? You lose weight, but you also build some healthy habits that can stick for the rest of your life. You can improve your relationship with food to where this actually can feel really permanent for you and not just like a means to an end. You hit the finish line and suddenly, oh, I want chocolate now. No, we actually have to rewire how you think and feel about food. And that's another one of my principles inside the program, a mental and emotional rewiring. This is a huge part of this process. So if you want me to help you work on all of that stuff, fill out the form at the link down below, or go to veganslimandsustain.com. Once more, veganslimandsustain.com. Fill out the form there. You'll learn a lot more about the program. I'll be in touch if you're a good fit. Okay, thanks, folks. Take care. See you all very soon. Gotta go for my next goal. All right, chat soon. Hopefully this is useful. Let me know any follow-up questions. I'll be reading and replying to all comments. Let me know in the comments